Henry David Thoreau, 1817 to 1862, was an American essayist, poet, and philosopher who is best known for his book Walden. He was born in Concord, Massachusetts, on July 12, 1817, and was the third of four children. Thoreau graduated from Harvard College in 1837 and worked as a teacher and a surveyor before becoming a writer. Thoreau's philosophy was centered around the idea of living a simple life in harmony with nature. He believed that people should live deliberately and that they should not be slaves to their possessions. Thoreau was also a strong advocate of civil disobedience and nonviolent resistance, and his essay, Civil Disobedience, has inspired many social and political movements. Walden, Thoreau's most famous work, is a reflection on his 2-year experience living in a cabin in the woods near Walden Pond. The book is a celebration of nature and a critique of modern society. Thoreau's writing style is characterized by its simplicity and clarity, and his works are still widely read and studied today. Here are some of his most famous quotes. "It takes two to speak the truth, one to speak, and another to hear. When we bring what is within out into the world, miracles happen. There is no remedy for love but to love more. Let nothing come between you and the light. Maturity is when all of your mirrors turn into windows. Success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Where the most beautiful wild flowers grow, there man's spirit is fed and poets grow. The secret of achievement is to hold a picture of a successful outcome in mind. Love must be as much a light as it is a flame. Thought is the sculptor who can create the person you want to be. City life is millions of people being lonesome together. What lies before us and what lies behind us are small matters compared to what lies within us. And when we bring what is within out into the world, miracles happen. Do not lose hold of your dreams or aspirations. For if you do, you may still exist but you have ceased to live. My profession is to always find God in nature. That government is best which governs least. Kindness to children, love for children, goodness to children, these are the only investments that never fail. Waves of a serene life pass over us from time to time, like flakes of sunlight over the fields in cloudy weather. The path of least resistance leads to crooked rivers and crooked men. I have no time to be in a hurry. If you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost, that is where they should be. Now put the foundations under them. Tough times don't last but tough people do. No matter how slow you go, you are still lapping everybody on the couch. Men are born to succeed, not fail. If a plant cannot live according to its nature, it dies, and so amen. An early morning walk is a blessing for the whole day. A bore is someone who takes away my solitude and doesn't give me companionship in return. In an unjust society, the only place for a just man is prison. None are so old as those who have outlived enthusiasm. There is no value in life except what you choose to place upon it, and northwest happiness in any place except what you bring to it yourself. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams, and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. It's the beauty within us that makes it possible for us to recognize the beauty around us. The question is not what you look at but what you see. Think for yourself, or others will think for you without thinking of you. If you will not try, you will go to your grave with your song still inside you. Every oak tree started out as a couple of nuts who stood their ground. Life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. So live the life you imagined. The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams, and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, to have made even one person's life a little better, that is to succeed. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. The only people who ever get any place interesting are the people who get lost. What lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are tiny matters compared to what lives within us. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately. Never look back unless you are planning to go that way. When it's time to die, let us not discover that we have never lived. When any real progress is made, we unlearned and learn anew what we thought we knew before. Things do not change, we change. Disobedience is the true foundation of liberty. The obedient must be slaves. Not until we are lost do we begin to understand ourselves. The only way to tell the truth is to speak with kindness. Only the words of a loving man can be heard. Dissent without action is consent. I took a walk in the woods and came out taller than the trees. There are 1,000 hacking at the branches of evil to one who is striking at the root. All things in this world must be seen with youthful, hopeful eyes. This world is but a canvas to our imagination. I make myself rich by making my wants few. Be yourself, not your idea of what you think somebody else's idea of yourself should be. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation and go to the grave with the song still in them. The greatest tragedy in life is to spend your whole life fishing only to discover it was never fish that you were after. If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music which he hears, however measured or far away. The soul grows by subtraction, not addition. Our life is frittered away by detail. Simplify, simplify. Time is like a handful of sand. The tighter you grasp it, the faster it runs through your fingers. If you see a man approaching you with the obvious intent of doing you good, you should run for your life. Be true to your work, your word, and your friend. Anyone in a free society where the laws are unjust has an obligation to break the law. If the machine of government is of such a nature that it requires you to be the agent of injustice to another, then, I say, break the law. Goodness is the only investment that never fails. What is the use of a house if you haven't got a tolerable planet to put it on? The meeting of two eternities, the past and future, is precisely the present moment. It is not enough that we are truthful, we must cherish and carry out high purposes to be truthful about. We are happy in proportion to the things we can do without. Many men go fishing all of their lives without knowing that it is not fish they are after. The most difficult thing to understand during conversation is silence. Since most of us spend our lives doing ordinary tasks, the most important thing is to carry them out extraordinarily well. He who walks alone, waits for no one. That man is rich whose pleasures are the cheapest. Men have become the tools of their tools. All good things are wild and free. Things don't change. We change. It is not enough to be busy. So are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about? How prompt we are to satisfy the hunger and thirst of our bodies, how slow to satisfy the hunger and thirst of our souls. Do not despair of your life. You have force enough to overcome your obstacles. When a man truly commits, the universe will conspire to assure his success. The question is not what you look at, but how you look and whether you see. To have done anything just for money is to have been truly idle. The press is, almost without exception, corrupt. Sweep away the clutter of things that complicate our lives. There is no beginning too small. Take long walks in stormy weather or through deep snows in the fields and woods, if you would keep your spirits up. Deal with brute nature. Be cold and hungry and weary. Behave so the aroma of your actions may enhance the general sweetness of the atmosphere. You must live in the present, launch yourself on every wave, find your eternity in each moment. A minority is powerless while it conforms to the majority. I have no doubt that it is part of the destiny of the human race in its gradual improvement, to leave off eating animals. That government is best which governs the least, because its people discipline themselves. Money is not required to buy one necessity of the soul. The law will never make a man free, it is men who have got to make the law free. Ignorance and bungling with love are better than wisdom and skill without. Do not engage to find things as you think they are. The rarest quality in an epitaph is truth. One is not born into the world to do everything but to do something. Truths and roses have thorns about them. Remember that the smallest seed of faith is of more worth than the largest fruit of happiness. Staying in the house breeds a sort of insanity always. Every house is, in this sense, a hospital. There is absolutely no common sense, it is common nonsense. One man lies in his words, and gets a bad reputation, another in his manners, and enjoys a good one. The future is too soon the past. So make perseverance your excellence and go confidently in the direction of your dreams. All men are children, and of one family. Mathematics should be mixed not only with physics but with ethics. I have always been regretting that I was not as wise as the day I was born. The silence sings. It is musical. I remember a night when it was audible. I heard the unspeakable. When was it that men agreed to respect the appearance and not the reality? When were the good and the brave ever in a majority? I have lately got back to that glorious society called solitude. As you simplify your life, the laws of the universe will be simpler, solitude will not be solitude, poverty will not be poverty, nor weakness weakness. We are constantly invited to be who we are. To make a deep mental path, we must think over and over the kind of thoughts we wish to dominate our lives. There is nothing more difficult to find than oneself. It is the marriage of the soul with nature that makes the intellect fruitful, and gives birth to imagination. All men recognize the right of revolution, that is, the right to refuse allegiance to, and to resist, the government, when its tyranny or its inefficiency are great and unendurable. Thank God, they cannot cut down the clouds. In the long run, you hit only what you aim at. He who owns little is little owned. The voice of nature is always encouraging. It is what a man thinks of himself that really determines his fate. Wealth is the ability to fully experience life. Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant? I believe that there is a subtle magnetism in nature, which, if we unconsciously yield to it, will direct us aright. It is better to have your head in the clouds, and know where you are, than to breathe the clearer atmosphere below them, and think that you are in paradise. When you knock, ask to see God, none of the servants. Wealth can't buy heath, but heath can buy wealth. Sobriety, severity, and self-respect are the foundations of all true sociality. A truly good book teaches me better than to read it. I must soon lay it down, and commence living on its hint. What I began by reading, I must finish by acting. It is only when we forget all our learning that we begin to know. Everyone must believe in something. I believe I'll go canoeing. Pursue some path, however narrow and crooked, in which you can walk with love and reverence. I have not the most definite designs on the future. The civilized man is a more experienced and wiser savage. Most of the luxuries and many of the so-called comforts of life are not only not indispensable, but positive hindrances to the elevation of mankind. After the first blush of sin comes its indifference. It is never too late to give up our prejudices. No way of thinking or doing, however ancient, can be trusted without proof. Old deeds for old people, and new deeds for new. Nay, be a Columbus to whole new continents and worlds within you, opening new channels, not of trade, but of thought. We must learn to reawaken and keep ourselves awake. It is difficult to begin without borrowing, but perhaps it is the most generous course thus to permit your fellow men to have an interest in your enterprise. There is one consolation in being sick, and that is the possibility that you may recover to a better state than you were ever in before. It is a characteristic of wisdom not to do desperate things. If I am not I, who will be? We live but a fraction of our lives. I have seen how the foundations of the world are laid, and I have not the least doubt that it will stand a good while. We need to witness our own limits transgressed, and some life pasturing freely where we never wander. Make the most of your regrets, never smother your sorrow, but tend and cherish it till it comes to have a separate and integral interest. To regret deeply is to live afresh. It is best to avoid the beginnings of evil. When the reptile is attacked at one mouth of his burrow, he shows himself at another. Trees indeed have hearts. Perfect sincerity and transparency make a great part of beauty, as in dewdrops, lakes, and diamonds. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. We are always paid for our suspicion by finding what we suspect. In a world of peace and love, music would be the universal language. If we will be quiet and ready enough, we shall find compensation in every disappointment. Birds never sing in caves. The finest qualities of our nature, like the bloom on fruits, can be preserved only by the most delicate handling. Yet we do not treat ourselves nor one another thus tenderly. There is more religion in men's science than there is science in their religion. Be resolutely and faithfully what you are, be humbly what you aspire to be. I can alter my life by altering my attitude. He who would have nothing to do with thorns must never attempt to gather flowers. It's only by forgetting yourself that you draw near to God. Duty is one and invariable, it requires no impossibilities, nor can it ever be disregarded with impunity. All good things are cheap, all bad are very dear. Every man must walk to the beat of his own drummer. The great art of life is how to turn the surplus life of the soul into life for the body. The best way to correct a mistake is to make it right. How deep the ruts of tradition and conformity! Wherever a man goes, men will pursue him and paw him with their dirty institutions, and, if they can, constrain him to belong to their desperate odd-fellow society. In the summer we lay up a stock of experiences for the winter, as the squirrel of nuts, something for conversation in winter evenings. Let go of the past and live the future. Live the life you imagined. Morning is when I am awake and there is a dawn in me. I would rather sit on a pumpkin and have it all to myself, than be crowded on a velvet cushion. You cannot perceive beauty but with a serene mind. Rather than love, than money, than fame, give me truth. There is only one path to heaven. On earth, we call it love. A man's wealth is measured by what he doesn't need. I believe that water is the only drink for a wise man. How vain it is to sit down to write when you have not stood up to live. Who could believe in the prophecies that the world would end this summer, while one milkweed with faith matured its seeds? If I choose to devote myself to certain labors which yield more real profit, though but little money, they may be inclined to look on me as an idler. Sell your clothes, keep your thoughts. The most I can do for my friend is simply be his friend. It appears to be a law that you cannot have a deep sympathy with both men and nature. Nature spontaneously keeps us well. Do not resist her. All misfortune is but a stepping stone to fortune. When a dog runs at you, whistle for him. We shall see but a little way if we require to understand what we see. Nature is full of genius, full of the divinity, so that not a snowflake escapes its fashioning hand. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. A man is rich in proportion to the number of things he can afford to let alone. Our inventions are wont to be pretty toys, which distract our attention from serious things. They are but improved means to an unimproved end. It is reasonable that a man should be something worthier at the end of the year than he was at the beginning. To be awake is to be alive. A stereotyped but unconscious despair is concealed even under what are called the games and amusements of mankind. Live your beliefs and you can turn the world around. It is not worth the while to let our imperfections disturb us always. When our life ceases to be inward and private, conversation degenerates into mere gossip. Heroes are often the most ordinary of men. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor. We only need to be as true to others as we are to ourselves, that there may be grounds enough for friendship. Oh, how I laugh when I think of my vague indefinite riches. No run on my bank can drain it, for my wealth is not possession but enjoyment. Read the best books first, or you may not have a chance to read them at all. If a man believes and expects great things of himself, it makes no odds where you put him, or what you show him. He will be surrounded by grandeur. The little things in life are as interesting as the big ones. All this worldly wisdom was once the unamiable heresy of some wise men. You must not blame me if I do talk to the clouds. A book should contain pure discoveries, glimpses of terra firma, though by shipwrecked mariners, and not the art of navigation by those who have never been out of sight of land. Thaw with her gentle persuasion is more powerful than Thor with his hammer. The one melts, the other breaks into pieces. The effect of a good government is to make life more valuable, of a bad one, to make it less valuable. He enjoys true leisure who has time to improve his soul's estate. I was not designed to be forced. I will breathe after my own fashion. Let us see who is the strongest. No face which we can give to a matter will stead us so well at last as the truth. This alone wears well. It often happens that a man develops a deeper love and friendship with his pet cat or dog than he does with most of the other humans in his life. We are born as innocents. We are polluted by advice. You must speak loud to those who are hard of hearing. Friends are made for caring and sharing. Friends do not live in harmony merely, as some say, but in melody. It is a great art to saunter. Wherever you have planted a seed, I am prepared to expect wonders. Our truest life is when we are in dreams awake. Nature is slow, but sure, she works no faster than need be, she is the tortoise that wins the race by her perseverance. We are all sculptors and painters, and our material is our own flesh and blood and bone. A grain of gold will gild a great surface, but not so much as a grain of wisdom. Every people have gods to suit their circumstances. There are moments when all anxiety and stated toil are becalmed in the infinite leisure and repose of nature. I was not born to be forced. Renew thyself completely each day. You cannot hear music and noise at the same time. For the most part we allow only outlying and transient circumstances to make our occasions. They are, in fact, the cause of our distraction. The truth is, there is money buried everywhere, and you have only to go to work to find it. True friendship can afford true knowledge. It does not depend on darkness and ignorance. Why should I feel lonely? Is not our planet in the Milky Way? The devil finds work for idle hands. It is pitiful when a man bears a name for convenience merely, who has earned neither name nor fame. Nothing can be more useful to a man than a determination not to be hurried. Cultivate poverty like a garden herb, like sage. I never found a companion that was so companionable as solitude.